What do you want to do next? Candace Owens?
Yes.
Yes, me too.
This is great. So look, I mean, we can sit here and speculate all day, as we have, many times. Like, what is the mental problem that that Steven Crowder has?
Or just like making observations like he really doesn't like trans people, but he's dressed in, and says drag shows or grooming situations, but he's dressed in drag like quite a few times for his program.
Yeah, I mean, there's weird stuff that goes on with it. We don't know. And the other thing that we've noticed about Steven Crowder is that how, like, bizarrely terrified he was about even, like, the idea that somehow I would confront him. With that whole Ethan Klein, when he brought me on for his show, the first time that Crowder canceled, Ethan, who is far more adept at this stuff, and I think understands the psychology of someone like Crowder far better than I, said, he's afraid that we're bringing you on. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. How could that can't possibly be true. And then, of course, when we actually did pretend that we were live and Crowder did actually show up at the debate, he admitted, because he was so flustered, that he was in fact monitoring our show to make sure that we didn't show up in the debate. I mean, which, if that was the case, kudos to him for having that set. But like, wouldn't you be like, you tried to ambush me. Guess what I did for the past week?
I prepared for it.
I prepared for it, and I'm ready for you, you idiot. And so now I'm going to take both of you and make fools out of both of you. But he was too afraid. He starts, like, he could see, like, his
He was
chest,
hoping it would never happen.
His chest contracts. I mean, and then he ends up in the hospital for chest surgery.
I hope his lungs are okay.
Yeah, and so Crowder did this whole thing. We broke down the two most important elements of it. One, that it exposes how much money is sloshing around the right wing. And two, how Crowder inadvertently admitted that his entire perspective on conservative economics is just a lie. He doesn't really even believe it. And he really sees the reality that contracts and employment relationships can be coercive, without a doubt. He knows this. That's really the more important stuff. But it's not necessarily the best stuff. And the best stuff could be coming, because on the Daily Wire, it's clear that Jeremy Boring and, equally as boring, Ben Shapiro, did not want to get too dirty in the muck with Shapiro, because they have to do the business stuff and they've got to make deals with other people. And Crowder looked pretty bad. Like, I don't know if I would ever do business with Steven Crowder. I mean, I will. Because he can record me and I'll record him whenever we talk. But if I was like an executive worried about this stuff, I don't think I would ever speak frankly to Crowder ever again. I would be worried about getting on the phone with him recording like that. And so those guys don't want to get into the muck. But Candace Owens doesn't apparently mind getting into the muck, and
no, that's her job. That's what the value that she provides for the Daily Wire is. She will go places that others won't. She knows,
That's right. I mean,
she's a bit behind, being black and a woman at that program, so she's got to make it up.
I mean, she's gone on and talked about, how Hitler did good things. I mean, so there's not much she's not willing to say.
Well, the problem with Hitler was just he went over the border.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he didn't keep it domestically. But here she is now. One wonders who was talking to Candace Owens this weekend, but it doesn't matter. This is fascinating, and I don't know. It suggests that maybe there's more to come out.
Given a lot more information regarding Steven Crowder, a lot more background information regarding what could have possibly led to this moment. And not to my surprise at all, obviously, this really doesn't have anything to do with the Daily Wire. And his actions are a symptom of something much larger. And I want to choose my words very carefully here, because I'm not angry anymore. Steven has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear, because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. You don't sell out your friend. You don't record conversations. These things are actions of individuals that are perhaps acting out of desperation. You have to dig deeper. You have to look deeper to fully understand the picture of why somebody might do that. And it's certainly not because somebody is upset with a $50 million contract. And because I now am more aware of certain information, rather than being angry, I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to the situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him.
All right, pause it for 1 second. Now pause it. Now at this point, you're listening to this. Maybe it could be that Stephen is sick. Like, and I'm talking like physically sick.
He's got a history of that.
He could be physically sick. And this is Candace Owens. Now she's gotten this information. She's not mad at him anymore. She feels bad for him. And she's asking her audience to pray for him. Because look, I mean, if he's got a physical ailment that may be causing stress, and one of the ways he's acting out is like he decides to make it about, his business stuff. Understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, when I get a lot of bad eczema, even, I get crabby around the office, and sometimes I'll just be like, I'm not doing this ad read. I want more money for it or something. I mean,
Yeah, Bradley always says, pray for Sam
Pray
today.
for Sam.
And if we were more religious in the office, maybe you would say, pray for me. Okay, so at this point, in terms of what Candace Owens has let us believe, this could be an illness, because if it's not an illness, what would you need to pray for someone about?
Yeah, what's the quote certain
Pray the what away?
information?
Like what kind of things do you pray away?
I don't know. I'm asking the question, but also, like, if it was an illness, like, I mean, surely it would just end with just prayers, right? It wouldn't be like, I mean, gosh, if, I wouldn't imagine anybody would say like, oh, Sam's got bad eczema. He's whatever it is.
Pray for him because I have certain information about him.
Well, I have certain information, like he's got eczema, but you would just leave it at pray for him.
That's
but
what I'm
let's see
saying,
where
yeah.
she goes with this.
Yeah.
Am more aware of certain information, rather than being angry, I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to the situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. Stephen purports to be a Christian, and I believe that he needs to lean into his faith. And
Purports to be a Christian. Hold on for 1 second. Now I'm confused, because I feel like my whole theory that maybe he's sick. What would that have to do with being a Christian? Christians get sick. Why would you say purports to be a Christian? It sounds like she's sort of implying that he's done something that is unchristian. Now, let's be clear. Let's be clear. Their definition of Christianity for Candace Owens is pretty broad. Like you could praise Hitler, still be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, like you can go and do whatever you need to do for money, still be a Christian. I wonder what would you do that would make someone say you purport to be a Christian? Doesn't purport mean like that mean you claim to be a Christian? Do I have that right?
But I got other information subsequently that makes me say like, oh, maybe that isn't actually true, and we should.
That sounds like what she's saying, but she also wants them to pray. It's very...
Yeah, pray for him, and also he did something potentially, according to her information, non-Christian in their eyes. Because like standard, Christianity, we could say being unkind, stealing from the poor, advocating for that kind of stuff. Republicans do that all the time. But her definition of non-Christian is one that's based in bigotry, right?
Yeah, go back and let's play this. It's really interesting.
Sometimes people need a scripture. Stephen purports to be a Christian, and I believe that he needs to lean into his faith. And I am certain that in the near future, more information will come out. I do not think it is my place to say more than that. Well, probably what I should say is I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. Maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances. But at this moment, I think I would just like to carefully back out. I am genuinely praying for Stephen Crowder. I am praying that he is reminded that there is always help in the form of the Lord. And again, I implore my audiences to just hope that he finds the truth and that he comes to the truth. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, that is all that I'm going to say about that.
I just hope I don't have to come out with it myself. I just hope that you don't push me or try me.
That's the thing that's so amazing. She really went there. She said, if more comments come out, can we play just like the last part where she's doing basically blackmail?
That is a threat.
That's a threat.
That's a threat.
It's a threat.
That's a threat.
This is how we used to say, like, we used to have the recording of you talking to the Politicon people, being like,
Yep.
maybe we'll release that sometime.
I mean, it's a threat. It's a threat, without a doubt. Now, listen, again, nothing wrong with a threat. You know, like there's. We have
blackmail threats against the
we have
terms of
we have information on people who aren't necessarily coming at us that maybe we will release based upon their behavior. She's doing the same thing. But boy, oh boy, you gotta wonder.
No, talk about getting your hands dirty when you're literally blackmailing on your online TV program.
Well, I don't know if she's like, yeah, I guess it is blackmail in the sense like she's saying, if you want to continue this, Stephen, I know the dirty little secret that makes you to be unchristian that you're going through right now.
Well,
You don't want people to know.
It's blackmail in the sense that they are in a public war over money and advertisers,
Yeah.
and they're auditioning for right-wing benefactors and that kind of deal. And Daily Wire's flexing their muscle, and Candace Owens will go out there and say the stuff that
A little bit of discipline.
yeah, that the heads of the company can't actually say.
I just want to say, based upon my limited experience with Steven Crowder, I know that he's not going to be intimidated by this. And I think Crowder should release more information. I think it's time for Crowder to step up and basically unsheath what he's got in the holster.
Let me see all the correspondence. We'll go through it.
Let's do it all. And if he wants a platform to do it, he could do it on this program.
Absolutely.
the Crowder files.
I would like him to come out,
The Daily Wire file.
dump everything you got on all those people. Don't let Candace Owens
The silly threat.
push you
there's nothing in
around,
reality.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you got a gun.
Yeah.
And it's time that you start to like normalize, like, I mean, let's go. You got a gun. You can bench press a bunch of weight.
Yeah, you're not going to let a woman cuck you like that.
Are
Tell
you
you what you
serious?
can
No way.
and cannot say.
He's not backing down from this. No, I say, and if you've run out of places to go on, because he may have like run out of like where else? What other shows could he go on? I mean, it's possible, right? Like he went on Tim Pool. What was it, last night? And we got
Can you
some
do
clips
that
of
again? Can you just keep doing that?
Can you keep
maybe?
going back on Tim Pool? I mean, you don't want to, Tim Pool's sort of, he's going to be his competition. You go on the quartering, but I mean, how well does quartering do? Is that a big platform?
I don't know if that's a big platform. I mean,
Listen, I'm telling you, if Crowder came onto this show, I'm sure Ethan would have him on too if he wants to talk about.
expose.
I mean, that's a much bigger platform.
Speak your truth.
I get a lot of attention, Steve. Think about that.
But I think the bottom line is Crowder cannot let this stand, because I know his audience is looking at this and going like, dude, you're not going to let
You're going to let her insinuate that about you?
push you around? I mean, are you kidding?
You're a tough guy. You says fight like hell on your shirt.
Yeah.
You can't just
It doesn't say scurry away from
Doesn't say-
Candace Owens.
yeah.
It doesn't.
Sure.
Yeah, it
Bold
doesn't
to
say
threats.
allow somebody to impugn your manhood and say nothing about it.
Oy, I think there's going to be some ugly stuff going on down at his dad's place. I don't know if you saw I don't know if you've seen The Great Santini, but I don't want a situation like that going on. You never saw that?
No.